Following the huge problem over at BBC Breakfast, the one I pointed out to you, chums, with Nagga and Charlie, who are now no longer speaking, and then neither one of them is speaking to the editor. As someone who's worked in breakfast television a long time in my career, it's far more fun behind the scenes than whatever you see on the screen. Oh, 100%, a lot of fun. And clearly, the BBC are in something of a turmoil because, Nagga Chetty is around about £500,000 a year. She also does, I think, a radio programme on Radio 5 Live, but who knows that, and then sits, I think, on the sofa about 2 or 3 days a week reading an auto cue alongside Charlie State. Now, over on Newsnight, the BBC's flagship programme, which used to be hosted by the ubiquitous Emily Maitlis, well, it was rated so badly that they had to get rid of the staff, slim it down and turn it into more of a panel discussion. That's a lot cheaper to do, right? But you would have thought they may have learned their lessons. Well, sadly not, because they offered an opportunity to meet a very esteemed author and associate editor of The Spectator magazine, Douglas Murray. Now, he's very popular with all sorts of takes on all sorts of different areas, from politics to culture. Now, you would not want to take on this particular man. But this particular individual, who I've also met, a Newsnight host called Nick Watt, thought he could. And things literally went from bad to worse. Now, this is where I find it strange, because clearly, if you're inviting somebody on who's incredibly intelligent and has literally the power of the public on their side, don't try and demean them or indeed belittle them. It won't work. And more importantly, if you need the audience, which Newsnight desperately does, don't offend the audience. Well, they tried, they failed, but more importantly, the BBC website was swamped with people absolutely saying they totally agreed with Douglas Murray. Not only that, the emails went through the roof, and more importantly, they've now got a huge problem. You see, he proved to be one of the most highly rated episodes of recent times on the Beleaguered show. Now, normally what you would do is, of course, think, how can we find a way to invite him back? Clearly, the audience like him. But this isn't really how the BBC operate, you see. The narrative didn't go in their way. There was a famous situation a while back on a Sunday morning programme where basically they opened up an opportunity for the audience to ask the burning question, is multiculturalism working in the United Kingdom? And they didn't bank on the result, which was catastrophic for them. Consequently, they never went back to the poll. You see how this works. We never forget. Back to Douglas Murray. Well, clearly, he's going to be still very much booked, very much popular. And if he decides to go back to Newsnight, which I'm sure he wouldn't mind, because as I said, he's very articulate and astute and very well read. The problem is, will Newsnight give the audience what they want? They haven't for many years. Some might suggest, why would they start now? It's a developing story. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.